Hi y'all, it's Kimberly here. I'm going to talk about the reopening of Texas. Our governor, Greg Abbott, has decided that Texas should reopen at 100%. If y'all didn't see the news conference, it was on national news. I kind of disagree with it to an extent. You know, we ain't out of the woods yet from what, you know, with all the medical experts and everything that is still going on. The infection rate has gone down, but with the reopening, that might change. It could, bring those numbers back up, and that would be a shame. That would be horrible. My video is not centered. Um, I kind of believe that. Well, I want the businesses to reopen. I mean, people need their jobs. They need, financially, it's just been draining on this country, and a lot of the service industry jobs, were decimated by this. And yeah, I want them to get back to work, and I want people to. I mean, I'm just so lucky that I have a job, and I feel, I feel horrible for people who. I mean, I've lost a little bit too in this pandemic too. It was a struggle for me, but for a lot of people, it's been a lot worse. So I think there should be a little bit more opening, a little bit more leeway on opening the country. Oh, that's horrible. I think there can be maybe a higher percentage than, I think we're at 50%. I don't really remember what the percent is, but I'm going to say 50% businesses operating, or like a restaurant is only allowed to have 50% of their normal patrons inside or something like that. And when I go into like McDonald's or some other little restaurant, there's tables that are still blocked off, and they still have the mask mandate, even though Governor Abbott said that he said no mask mandate, which I don't agree with that. I do take an issue with that, because the mask, I think, is really important. I think it's really a healthy. I think it's one of the best things that's been combating this is the social distancing and the mask mandate. And I have. I'll try to put this light on in case y'all can't figure out what I'm doing. I've got asthma and respiratory issues, and I have not had any kind of I haven't had an infection for over a year. I had a respiratory infection, a bronchial infection, a bad case of bronchitis at the end of 2019. It was like, I think, November 2019. And when I went to the hospital, I was coughing so much. I went up to the desk and I was just coughing so much I couldn't even hardly speak. And it was like I was doubled over. Just I couldn't hardly breathe. I was about to throw up from coughing so hard. And immediately, like, the nurse told me, or several of the nurses came out, and they got me and they took me back to this room, and they had face masks. They had the plastic protector, the visor, whatever. They had gowns on, they had gloves, everything, and they were like standing way far away from me. And I've only been to the emergency room like a couple of times for my kidney stones. This is the first time I went for my bronchial infection. Usually I can go to a doctor. Usually I can wait till the next day. But I was getting to the point where I almost couldn't breathe, and I had drove like about 20 miles to get to the doctor. It was late at night. There was no emergency center where I live at, so I had to drive to the next city. And there was a lot of other people in there too, and they had probably been there maybe hours before me. There was several people in there, and they immediately took me in first. And I thought, wow, this is really good service, because I always hear how horrible it is to go to the emergency room. People die in the emergency room waiting for help to see a doctor. And I was like, well, this is really, really good service, I thought. But when I look back on that, I think, the medical community knew about the virus before, although it hadn't been publicly. I think, medical professionals, they know a lot of stuff that happens before it gets publicly known. And I think that they did the nose swab test, and I've never had that done ever in my life. For any time I've had the flu or bronchial infection to go to the doctor, they've never done that to me. But that time they did it to me, and they were standing way far back, and they brought in like 2 doctors and a bunch of nurses, and they were all like standing around me. There's like, I don't remember, 5 or 6, people all garbed up. They had all the medical PPE, whatever, on, and I was like, wow, I thought I was getting really good medical care. But now when I look back, I think it was because they thought maybe I was infected with that. And this is in November 2019. And I think that they were possibly maybe on alert for it, for them to be able to report the first case that they had in the United States, because the doctor has to report it to the CDC, and they have to know what it is, and they have to identify it. And they did, the swab in my nose and everything, and they held me there for several hours, and they gave me a breathing treatment so I could breathe, but they didn't give me, I was going to say, I really can't remember. I think they did give me some antibiotics, but they were telling me that they needed to send it off to a lab, and they would call me with the results to make sure it wasn't a worse infection. But they didn't say anything about COVID-19. I don't even know if it had a name then or what. But the, medical facilities and doctors were aware that there was an infection in China. And I think that's why they tested me, because I came in there coughing so bad, and I felt so horrible, and, I looked like horribly sick, and I started wearing a mask probably, I think it was a few months into 2019, because I was doing DoorDash, and I did it for my customers, and I thought it would be a better customer relation type of thing, and to make it look like, and no contact. We have the no contact deliveries and everything with DoorDash, and I just wanted them to be comfortable, that I'm, a good driver, and, that I'm trying to be safe. And also, when I went into the businesses to pick up the food, at one point, a lot of them started requiring masks, and then all of them did at a certain point. And I'd been wearing a mask since then. And when I started this new job that I have been working at, I've been working there for about 5 months or so. I can't really remember. When I did the interview, I had my mask on, and nobody else there had a mask. And I wore a mask for several months before my job required us. One day we had a meeting, and our boss told us, well, we all have to wear a mask now. It's the state mandate. And I still wear it to this day. And I'm going to continue wearing it because I haven't had an infection. I haven't been sick, not even a fever, sick, like a little cold or nothing. I've had nothing for over a year. And that is really good for me, because I usually do have 2 or 3 infections or a little cold, and I have not had any kind of respiratory issue at all ever since I started wearing a mask. And I think it's a little premature to take away the mask mandate. I know everybody has a right to, be free and all this, but, this is like, 500,000 people have died already. And, the story of Typhoid Mary, she didn't want to comply with any kind of rules. She was a cook, and she went around, infecting people, knowingly infecting people, and she was asymptomatic. And she didn't seem to care. She was not sympathetic at all, and she kept going from job to job. She was a cook, and she got fired from here for being, infecting people. She went to another place and cooked, and this kind of reminds me of that, and this is a weird virus. It has qualities of, I don't want to, I'm not trying to use it as a scare tactic or anything, but it's, actually I'm not going to say it, but it's got qualities of being airborne. They've already, everybody should know that by now. And that's why the mask mandate is there. And, well, I'm just going to continue with my mask. And I think almost all the restaurants here, they still require a mask, even though Governor Abbott said he was doing away with the mask mandate. The businesses are requiring you here. They're doing it themselves, that you have to have one on to come in to the business. And I think that's healthy. And I think there is a day where it's going to come where we're not going to need it. And as far as the vaccine, a lot of people are taking the vaccine, and I think maybe that's helping. And I think, I do think I want to take the vaccine, but right now, I think the teachers are being vaccinated, or nurses. There's some frontline people that are being vaccinated here now in Texas. So if I do take the vaccine, I don't know. I mean, I'm still on the fence about it. I do want to take it because of the health. I want it to be, as a health precaution, yeah. But anytime I take a vaccine, and the way they rush it through, and I mean, there are some side effects and complications that they figured out. But in all, I really do think that I probably will take the vaccine eventually. And, I think that's a personal choice for everybody. And, I mean, I hope this really does work. I hope it, possibly it will lower the numbers, and it'll get under control, and it'll be, just another epidemic in our history. There was like typhoid, yellow fever, scarlet fever, there's, the plague, everything. There's, so many infections that have happened over the course of history, and much more people died because they didn't have a vaccine. And I think that this will, I mean, we have medical, I don't want to say miracles, medical, well, maybe medical miracles, whatever you want to call it. We have medicine on our side now that can save a lot of lives. So hopefully this vaccine will work. And I just don't, I'm not going to support the no mask mandate at this point. I think we still need to cover a little bit more ground, and maybe have some lower infection numbers. The infection rate is going down, thank goodness. But I think maybe just a little bit longer, and I think it will be, hopefully, I'm hoping by the end of summer, it'll be good enough that we won't need a mask and things can start returning to normal, I hope so. Okay, that's just my thoughts on that. And my light is going, or not my light, but it's getting dark out here. So I'm going to go, and thank you very much. Thank you all.